My name is Debolina and I live in Bangalore. I run a blog called She Knows Grub, in which I share my travel and food experiences across the world. I travel a lot and I enjoy food a lot, obviously. And on Instagram also I share my experiences. My handle is Debbie Dares. So if you guys are on Instagram, you could check that out. So this actually has been, of course, a difficult time for most of us, but the hospitality and travel sector has definitely been the worst hit. And we've seen that from the past few months. Worldwide, most places that were offering dining in were completely shut, and only recently things have begun opening up. That happened in Bangalore. Last week, standalone restaurants, cafes, hotel restaurants, all of these opened up with a lot of stringent protocols because of COVID and a lot of restrictions that have been imposed. And a lot of small eateries and independent restaurants are actually yet to open up as they figure out about the safety, about how to get their staff back, because a lot of them have actually gone back home. And that's of course been an inherent challenge, especially with independent establishments. So that's been, I think it's a challenge across the country, but as places open up, we've seen that happen. Sorry, Rupa, I think in Delhi Foodwalk's comment you can see the social handles. Yeah, just let me know if you have any questions. I'll try to look into the question. It's kind of difficult because the camera is here. I'll try that. The topic of discussion today is Bangalore, mainly around the culture, but also we're going to focus a lot on the different kind of food that we see in the city. To start with, firstly, this is a hard topic to crack in 45 or 30 minutes because Bangalore has so many different kind of food that has come in because mainly we are a very cosmopolitan city, and there's a lot of interesting fusion that has happened. People love various kind of food and exploring and going out and eating. So that's the time constraint will of course be a challenge. And if I am inadvertently missing out on any cuisine or any specific kind of dish, it'll only be due to the time constraint, but we have to attempt. So I'm going to get started with that. I've divided this talk into two main sections. First, in Bangalore, there are various kinds of food that are popular because of a specific audience. A lot of food that is also, in fact, popularized by the food stall or the hotel or restaurant or cafe that made it popular, and you can trace it back there, right? And time and again, we love going back there because the food there tastes the best. I mean, there have of course been other people who've tried to do that rendition, but it's not quite the same. So that's something that I want to talk about because I think for most Bangaloreans, it's what's closest to our heart. And there's also another aspect from the city that we should discuss. That is the popular food of Karnataka and the regions around. That is also very significant because in Bangalore, you not only just get food from Bangalore, but also rest of Karnataka, rest of the different states like Kerala, Tamil Nadu, etc. So that puts us in a unique place to actually try so many different kind of food right here, and that's definitely something I want to touch base upon. Hey guys, thanks so much for joining in. The second part that I'm going to be talking about is not specifically about the cuisines, but the various food cultures that evolved here, like cafes, microbreweries, because no conversation about Bangalore food scene is ever complete without coffee and beer. I don't know how many of you agree with that, but in this part, I also will discuss some of the popular places that people go, what do they drink, and this is really an essential part of discussion because I feel that this is what we think of when we think of Bangalore, right? And if you have any questions, you could leave them in the comments in the comment section. I'll try and address them in the last like 5 to 10 minutes. I'm trying my best to manage the time, I promise. Right? So in the first segment, I'm discussing about some of the very popular and must-try dishes you should check out when you're in Bangalore. So if you're visiting Bangalore or if you live here, and these are some of the things that you must try if you haven't already, I'm sure most of you have. So some of these places have actually been open for over 50 years, you know, so they are iconic in the true sense of the word. And so I'm going to start with, yeah, I see already suggestions coming in. You know I have to talk about that, but that's in the second section. So the iconic places that I'm referring to, let's start with breakfast dishes, because I think as Bangaloreans, and where local food is concerned, breakfast is the meal of the day. Like, we take that so seriously. Some of the breakfast dishes, of course, are all-day dishes. So I'm talking about idli, vade, various kinds of idlis, right? And different kinds of vades, various kinds of dosas. So you have, and actually it's supposed to be said doses for people who are not from Bangalore. So then you have those small paniyarams, which are absolutely yum, and you can pop them in your mouth. You have various kinds of upmas, so like your khara bath, kesari bath, mix of both, which becomes your chow chow bath. So there's just so much options in vegetarian breakfast items that is available here, that that's definitely something that you need to try. Thatte idli, yes, absolutely. It's every time I'm heading anywhere out of Bangalore, that's going to be my first stop, to actually have thatte idli in some of our favorite places on the Bangalore-Mysore highway. So yeah, absolutely. So as you know, there's going to be too many. So if, like I said, you know, if I miss, it's not because I don't love them. I do, but it's probably not possible to cover all of them in one conversation. But I'm sure we will talk about it more. So my favorite among the breakfast items has to be the benne dosa. So let me tell you a little bit about this dish, right? It originates from Davangere, which is in central Karnataka. And it's benne means butter, so it's dosa generously topped up with butter, and you can have that with coconut chutney, or like potato palya, or any side like that, right? And the beauty of this dish is just the simplicity and the texture of the dosa that it has, and it's absolutely fantastic. The reason I love it is probably because, you know, when I was in college, my first trip that happened on my own with my college friends was to Davangere. We went there for our university fest, and there we had people showing us, I mean, the local students took us out and made us try, you know, their favorite haunts and places where they had Davangere dosas, the benne dosa. So you wouldn't get exactly the same kind here, but there are places where it's actually quite very similar to what you would get in Davangere, outside the Bapuji Institute of Technology. I mean, people who are familiar, you know, with that area. So I, of course, recommend CTR. You have to try that. There's another stall in JC Road. I forget the name, but there's an auntie that makes it, and she's spot on every time. I think she's from there. And you could also go the healthier way. You know, if you don't want to top it off with so much of butter, you could go with rava dosas and you know, uttapams and things like that, which are just as healthy and totally yum. Yes, there are also dishes which are quite wholesome and yum, like for example, bisibele bath. It's something you would find you know, quite often at homes, in college canteens. It's one of those, you know, wholesome comfort food. It's a spicy mix of rice, dal, and coconut. And if your mom is making it, she's probably going to definitely put vegetables in there. You know that for sure. This can easily be lunch. I mean, you can understand the dish is good enough for lunch. Another item which is actually sort of a mix between breakfast and tea time snack is the Mangalore bun. It's like these, it's not not actually a bun, it's like fluffy puris, which have like, which are made with flour and banana, and it's absolutely delicious and so healthy. And so usually these get sold out like hotcakes, you know. So if you're going to, for example, these busy breakfast places, like any Bangalorean would tell you, you have to go to CTR, you have to go to MTR, you have to go basically around the Shashadripuram and Malleshwaram areas. It's yeah, I can see there are people saying bisibele bath is their favorite as well. Yes, it's absolutely a comfort food, and it's yum, really. You have to try it if you haven't, and it can be with various combinations, so you can find what suits you. So I think it's for absolutely all palates. So typically most of these places that I'm discussing, and if you see in the comments also, some of my favorite places are being mentioned, like Vidyarthi Bhavan, etc. Most of these are purely vegetarian places, right? So in North Bangalore as well as in South Bangalore, there are areas where you have eateries. Anjana, yes, I love Bangalore buns too. It's one of my favorites, and especially homemade ones. They are just, yeah, and you have a little coconut sprinkled on top. It's brilliant. Yeah. Oreos, ripe bananas, absolutely. So there are, if you're trying to actually do food walks, right? Like if you wake up one fine morning and you're like, I want to eat this breakfast that Devalina mentioned one fine day on Delhi Food Walks, and you want to do that, try to plan it properly, right? If you're going towards Malleshwaram side, pick 3 or 4 places where you would go. Like and that's not the only side you could go to. You could go to the Gandhi Bazaar area, the other side of Bangalore, which also has equally good and absolutely authentic places as well. So as Siddharth mentioned about Vidyarthi Bhavan, so you could start, for example, queuing in Vidyarthi Bhavan, queuing outside, because yes, it will take time. And then once you have your dosas, so when you order your dosa in Vidyarthi Bhavan, they actually bring it like a pile of dosas stacked one on top of the other. I'm not sure how they will do it now in the COVID era, but you have to check out this picture. It's one of those things that as photographers and as tourists, people love to see. They just go there and they want to see how the dosa is served. It's a very quick turnaround because they're very, very busy. And so they would stock that up and serve it to you, and you quickly eat and get out of there. The khara bath and stuff is also very, very good. But if you want to have coffee, that's not the place. So you just walk around Gandhi Bazaar and go to Brahmins and have the coffee there. So it has there's some amazing coffee that you could have, and there's the idli and more coffee. Yeah, sorry. This always happened. Every time I do a live, somebody notices how misaligned my teeth are. I'm going to try and ignore that comment. I'm sorry. So Anjana, is that good? So it's a different kind of dosa, right? So the dosa in Vidyarthi Bhavan, actually, if you pick it up, it doesn't droop or anything because it's thick dosas. So it's a different kind of dosa. There are various other places which have various other kinds of dosas as well. So yeah, you could try it once and see if this is what you like. But coming back to Brahmins, the Brahmins chutney is legendary. It's been perfected over decades and it's really, really good. So you have to, if you're heading that side, make sure you do these couple of places, and also check out Gandhi Bazaar in the area. You could see in the buzz of the market, it's like amazing, right? So moving slightly past snacks, there's a lot of people who come to Bangalore or who are curious about Bangalore often ask me, does Bangalore food, is it mainly vegetarian food in Bangalore? So the answer to that, a really crisp and short answer to that, is definitely no. There's a lot of food that is very, very varied, and that's even in Karnataka. If you see, there's a lot that the state has to offer, and it's not just only vegetarian food, but also with vegetarian food there's so much variety. So what you are thinking per se that is only going to be A, B and C, that's not it at all. There's lots of vegetarian food and creative dishes that you could absolutely love. Now, since we are talking a little outside of vegetarian food, floating pani puri, yeah. So there are, if you actually see, Delhi Food Walks has some amazing videos that they've done, short videos of various kinds of curious dishes, like idli with chocolate stuffed in it with the strawberry on top, and floating pani puri. So there are various kinds of Fraser Town, I mean, it's one of those places that you have to check out. So I think after Hyderabad, Bangalore is the only place that I know that has this bigger market in the southern part of India. So yeah, you have to check these out. But they are of course seasonal, so the timing of course matters when you're in town. So slightly moving past the snacks, a lot of people, since they've always asked me, I wanted to discuss this as well. There's the concept of military hotels. Yeah, Anjana, you are right. It's like you know what's on my mind. So absolutely. So military hotel, firstly, if you want to completely change your palate from what we've been discussing thus far, right? We've been discussing all wholesome and yummy dishes, but now if you want to get to the meaty side of things, this is the part of the discussion that you are going to be interested in. So we've been discussing about military hotels for many years now. You would see a lot of blogs written on it, a lot of coverage. But so firstly, let's get the basics right. Like for folks who are not from Bangalore, what is a military hotel to start with? So there are various origin stories, right? One of them says that this was actually created centuries back for Maratha soldiers who were camped in the city, and they wanted meat in their food. So now, what is their food? And there were similar origin stories that have come up. But what it is today is a huge part of Bangalore's culture. And you can think of biryanis, well, rather pulaus actually. They're probably the correct term would be pulao, so mutton pulao, chicken pulao, veg pulao, aromatic paya soup. I mean, you guys are mentioning other dishes, but paya soup is my soul food, to be honest. The mutton paya soup. Ragi mudde, as Anjana you mentioned. So you could have ragi mudde with a mutton curry, a spicy curry, and that's basically ragi is your finger millet, and you squash it into a soft ball, and you break it and have it with these curries, right? So it's beautiful, wholesome food, and very different from what we've been discussing earlier, right? Like these breakfast dishes. And these get sold out like anything. So if you actually want to head to a military hotel or a military canteen to eat, your timing has to be impeccable. You have to go because there's going to be a queue, there's going to be a rush. Don't think you can take your own sweet time. You will probably run out of food there, for sure. Places to try this. Of course, you have your classics. I mean, there is a bunch of places, but usually around the Jayanagar, Banshankari side, and there are specific areas where you could try. So Shivaji Military Hotel, Ranganna, then there's Royana military canteen. So they are spread. Royana's on Brigade Road. So you could check these out. Siddharth and Anjana, you guys like know what's on my mind, or you know what's my favorite food. Okay, I'm coming to ghee roast, I promise. So I'm trying to cover everything, right? So that's where it's we've seen a lot of this, and that's become like an integral part of Bangalore's culture. And not just the main dishes that I'm telling you about, but also the accompaniments, like the pachdi that comes with the rasam, the sherwa with the pulaus. That is absolutely delicious. They have distinct flavors, and it's amazing. So some of them are actually even doing deliveries now. So, if you want to try it out and you don't want to venture out, that's understandable, but you could look at ordering in. And it's, trust me, it's worth it. I did, so I can tell you it's totally worth it. There is, I'm not going deep into Vivipuram's, the dishes of Vivipuram, because it's already been covered by many people, and it's mainly street food, and it's got some absolutely fantastic options. But the next thing that I was thinking of, which I personally like food-wise, is to go into options in Bangalore. It might be limited, but some of the Karnataka cuisines, which if you are in the city and you're not going to different parts of Karnataka, you could come here and try all of this. So they are very, very distinct. They have influences from settlers in the area, borders that they share with other states, spices grown in the region. So it's very distinct. So don't assume that food from Bangalore will be same as another place in Karnataka. It really isn't. Just like any other state, this is extremely diverse. I've heard one of the greatest food writers of India say that, in India, every 100 kilometers, the cuisine changes. It's absolutely true. You know that. We've seen that happen as well. So in context to that, one of the most important food-wise region is Mangalore. You have the coastal food of Mangalore and Kundapur there, and that's where you have your chicken Kundapur, fish fries with various kind of masalas like rava masala and stuff topped on it, ghee roast, as somebody just mentioned. So there's crab, chicken, prawn, various types of ghee roast with neer dosa and so on. So that food is completely different. It's very, very spicy. The heat level is very high, and it's just beautiful. I mean, you just have to definitely have that food. It's spicy and it's like comfort, and that's the food to live for, in my opinion. So if you're ever trying to venture out and you don't know where to go, so some of the places that we like going is like Mangalore Pearl, Anupam's Coast to Coast, or the Konkan. Those in Bangalore you could check out. There are various other places, but off the top of my head, if you if you ping me, I'll send you more recos, I promise. Then you also have the various other regions food-wise. So let's say options around Bangalore, but again, your options in Mangalore does have a lot of seafood, while Bangalore doesn't. Of course, we are completely landlocked. So Anjana, you're right on that. It's another cuisine, a couple of cuisines that I'm going to mention. You may not see a lot of options in Bangalore, but you will find that one or two specialty restaurants that cater to it. And that's, for example, the Malnad food. And firstly, Malnad is the Western Ghat region, and the food there is like wholesome, right? Because people there were farmers, they were hard workers. So the kind of food that they had is, I'm talking about rice dumplings and chicken curry. So like kori sav, pumpkin idli, patrodes, different kinds of dishes like this, which is again very, very distinct from what you would typically get in Bangalore, in the city. Now, adjacent to this region is another favorite. I'm surprised none of you guys have mentioned this yet, but it's one of my favorite cuisines, and a place where if you're a pork lover, you would love it. Yes, you could get pork in Karnataka, not just in the northeast of India, and so I'm referring to Coorg, and you could get stunned with the pandi curry, and you can have that with sannas and kadambattu, various kinds of rice dumplings, or even akki roti. Made with rice flour. So really, really different and interesting food. And there's of course a lot more Kodava dishes than just what I'm referring to. But I mean, if you had to start off with, this is what you could, look at. Yes, you're right. I think Siddharth, you've mentioned, patrode. You've mentioned about Andhra food. Yes, Andhra meals is something, I was just going to say that, no self-respecting Bangalorean would ever not swear on Andhra meals. I mean, that's basically given us bread and butter on days when we are hungry and we can just belt food. And that's when you would head out to either Nagarjuna or Nandana and things like that. Those are like, those places are iconic, and you could just have food for hours, literally, and all the different courses, and they're going to come and serve you. So that's definitely something that is important in Bangalore. And people who want to experience Bangalore food in one shot, they should definitely go and have like an Andhra meal, right? Yes, Coorg Food Co. Hey Pooja, definitely one of those places, a little far away from this side of town, but definitely worth the trip. The beauty is, most of these places that we are recommending, or you see in the comments, they are actually by people who are originally from the region, right? So Coorg Food Co. are, for example, they're a Kodava couple. So what they cook is food they've grown up eating, and a lot of the food we relate to is because of memory. So if I make Bengali food, for example, I'm going to make Bengali food like the way I've grown up eating. Again, it's not just the Andhra meals. Andhra food is so much more. So if you wanted specialty places, we have that as well. There's Nati food. There's food from Guntur region, food from the valleys, all different terrains of Andhra. Again, very, very distinct, as you can see. But the beauty of Bangalore is you can get access to all of that in this city itself. You don't have to travel so much. I mean, yes, if you want absolutely the authentic experience, you could go check that out. But what I'm trying to say is, the places that have opened them up here, they try to bring as much of the authentic experience as possible. So it's similar with Tamil Nadu food. So you could have food from the Chettinad region, the Cholas. So all of that, there are specific areas which do that. And also if you like idiyappams and, vadai, the different kind of chutneys that Tamil Nadu has, you could check them out. I have to mention Kerala as well. Not because Anjana you're here, but because this is... Bangalore has a lot of Kerala influence as well, especially with respect to food. I don't know if a lot of you know this, but usually near tech parks, there would be messes where they would serve quick Kerala meals. So it'll be like rice, fish curry, a fry along with it. So it's beautiful, and again, quick service. Of course, there are places where you could, you mustn't miss out on appam and stew and beef fry if you're here. There are places, there's legendary places like Koshi's, but also like Kappachakka Gandhari, which has also come up, which is going to give you this. Absolutely, as Siddharth has just said, here it's really a melting pot of various South Indian cuisines. So I have to touch upon all this because it's not just about Bangalore's food or, you know, Karnataka food, but so much more, right? So obviously this food talk is making me hungry. What about you guys? Have you had your tea and coffee and your snacks? Usually that's the time, this is the time we head to. That actually brings us to this another area that I want to touch upon. Yeah, Kerala parathas, the parota, the Ceylon parathas as well. Yeah, absolutely. But I think among those, I mean, across all of those regions, I think I would still love like an appam and a stew, or yeah, idiyappams, and yeah, some fries, a mutton fry with coconut shavings on top. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think there's any competition there, right? So another aspect that I wanted to run by you guys, and you can please weigh in. Firstly, thank you so much for taking out this time, right? I've seen what we've seen is in the past few years that the Bangalore's cafe culture has actually evolved a lot in the last decade. Right, some cafes are now hosting events. Some are having solo or co-working spaces open up. The city has award-winning baristas, by the way. I don't know if you know it, but there's a barista who's actually awarded in a competition in Netherlands. So there's some fabulous coffee that's getting brewed. People are experimental, and that's very, very good from a city's perspective. And there are small eats along with coffees also, of course, very popular. Some of the food chains, the cafe chains that I'm going to mention next are Bangalore based, and not just typically the big brands that I'm referring to, but these have risen to fame in their own right. So I'm not just talking about Cafe Coffee Day, which of course has its origin story in Karnataka, in Bangalore, that is, but also like Third Wave Coffee Roasters and Flying Squirrel, Hatti Kapi, all of these places, which are absolutely brilliant coffee. It makes sense. Yes, I see Pooja's recommendation. DYU is, by the way, one of my favorite places as well. They have this chicken omelette. It is unbelievable. Again, not specifically around Bangalore, but they have these shredded, yeah, they are very similar to Kashi Art Cafe. And Anjana, if you come to Bangalore, you have to check this place out, by the way. So about this chicken omelette, it's actually shredded chicken inside an omelette. It's brilliant. And not to mention their banoffee pies and things like that, right? So there are just brilliant places that are cafes which focus a lot on the food and the coffee that they're brewing. And if you think about it, it kind of makes sense because Karnataka, specifically areas around Chikmagalur, produce and export coffee, right? So this is a sort of a natural extension. I mean, we are providing coffee to the rest of India and parts of the world. So there are health food cafes as well, which focus on, you know, they focus on healthy farm to table kind of a concept. They have options of vegan food, gluten-free food, etc. So these places try having like a comprehensive menu with options to substitute, for example, milk products and anything you're allergic to. So this is an important thing that I've seen in Bangalore, that a lot of people enjoy going to cafes, sit, talk, work out of there. So that's definitely an important aspect that I want to talk about. Siddharth, yes, we are actually seeing a great culture of mixology, I think, in the last 5 years. Honestly, I don't know if we are a competition to Delhi yet. Because if you see the Delhi mixology scene, it's like on a whole different level. But I think we have some brilliant mixologists in the city, and it's definitely getting better. I think we as audience need to up our game so that these mixologists, we can appreciate what they are trying to do for us. Yeah, for sure. It's yeah, I think we do have a GI tag on the coffee, but yeah, thanks Anjana, I'm definitely gonna check that. Yes, we do have a lot of wine growing here as well in Karnataka. So you have Nandi Valley, where you have some vineyards there. A couple of them. I mean, Grover is there, for example. Then you have in Hampi. Near Hampi, you have Krisma. So even Sula has one of its subsidiaries, or another brand of Sula, which is Kadu, which is again Bangalore based. So all of this. So you can see what a truly melting pot this is, right? It's not just that we drink beers or we drink cocktails, but there's such an amazing amalgamation in here. and I absolutely enjoy that. So when I actually moved to the city many years ago, there I mean I knew at that time, or even before that, we knew that Bangalore was known as the pub city. But I think in the last decade and a half, Bangalore has come a long way. It's no longer just draft beer and chili chicken or chicken 65 or chicken wings. I don't know how many of you can identify with that, but yeah, this is back in the day. But you can't possibly go wrong with that and this weather. Today, the city has come a long way. There's, yeah, absolutely. There's, and I see there's the Dharwad Peda has the GI tag. I'm not touching upon sweet dishes much in this because that's a whole different discussion, especially around festival food. I mean, there's so much to discuss. You know, that will be like an hour-long discussion, I think, when we talk about the various kind of dishes that they make for festivals and the payasams, and it's, yeah. By the way, since we were talking about specific kind of food earlier, we also have like a full-blown Andhra meal as well when you come here, and you have Kerala food as well when you have the specific festivals. So you actually have a lot of access to different kind of food, as we've been iterating earlier, right? So now, I mean, as I was mentioning to you about the beers, definitely an important consideration that in the last 10 to 15 years, we've come a long way, and today I think we have a little over 60 microbreweries that are open. Yeah, there definitely are challenges around licensing and rates. I think most of us who've been closer to the industry, we've heard these challenges from most of the people entrepreneurs who are starting up and things like that. The 60 microbreweries that I'm telling you about, this was last year's count, by the way. I think in February last we did a count, and it was close to over 60 microbreweries. Most of us brave the crazy city traffic to go ahead and have their freshly brewed beers. Yes, Toit, one of the first that opened up, Beer Club being the first that opened up in the city, Arbor, a chain, but definitely I'm so glad that they came to Bangalore. You also have, of course, our homegrown Big Brewski. We have Windmills Craftwork, and some of these places focus a lot on the food as well. So in Bangalore, it's not just about drinking beer, right? It's become like an entire experience around beer. We have creative brewing, we have seasonal beers, like, you know, a specific kind of twist. So I can have a mango beer in the mango season. For Christmas, I'm going to have like a festive beer with cinnamon and things like that, right? So there's a lot of variety happening around the beer scene. And then there's also beer paired food menu, because of course, where there's Bangaloreans, there's always got to be food somewhere in the equation. So it is an amazing world of beer that Bangalore has. And like I was saying, you know, most of us on any day brave traffic to go out and kick back and have some good freshly brewed beers. That's pretty much a Bangalorean's idea of chilling and relaxing. Yes, Geist also in Karnataka, they have some fabulous beers. And I don't know which is your favorite. I think based on last check, I think I'm still switching between Uncle Dunkel and Kamashitra. But yeah, there are some good beers there. But I think, yeah, a Toit on a busy day, you would probably just have to stand at the bar and order. But yeah, those are some of them brilliant places. Windmills, one of those places where you can get jazz beer and an amazing interior. I mean, it's like a library inside. And the acoustics are fantastic because of the wood all around. And even the food menu. So they have a very thoughtfully curated food menu, which really matters, you know, for most of us foodies. So that's one of the things you have to try. Like, you have to go on a beer drinking spree when you're in Bangalore. There are much better people to advise on beer than me. If you hit me up, I'm going to connect you to them. They can tell you exactly what beer to drink and what season and what's the weather today and what you should have with it. So it's yeah, in Bangalore, beer is sort of like a serious business, and we take it like that. Right. There are Bob's Bar. I think so. I don't know if we noticed, but in the last 2-3 years, we're seeing a lot of these comeback of places which are economical, small eats, and quick service kind of places. So there are quite a few of these coming up, and it's been quite interesting because it's definitely lighter on the pocket, and lots to drink, and even the liquor is quite cheap in those places. There was this dish that we had in Permit Room, which was the highway pandi curry, which is, so they do these very interesting kind of fusion with some parts of southern Indian dishes, which was very, very nice. I think they are one of the best in the city. Among favorite places that that you could go, and it doesn't have to be just Karnataka food or South Indian food, but there are steak lovers everywhere. I don't know if you have it in your group, but every time we try to go out, there is going to be someone who says, I want to eat a steak. And we'll go like, oh God. And then, so in the city, when from back in the day, my earliest favorite places, the memories that I've had of great steaks was The Only Place, Indigo Sizzlers, and Miller's 46. I don't know if much has changed in the session in the past few years, except Indigo's has shut down, unfortunately. But if you guys know some great steak place, that I have to try, please let me know, and I will definitely do that. Gourmet pizzas and burgers, that's another trend. I don't know if you've noticed, that's happened again in the last 2-3 years, where there's a constant phase that we are trying to get into. So there's great cheese, innovative toppings on the pizzas. Yeah, why not, right? Like, it's everything to try. The city is going through a major Asian food scene. I mean, that's what I feel. There's a phase that we are going through. So there's specialty Asian places, pan-Asian places, all of these opening up. So you have, like, I don't know if that's for health reasons. Connie's, yes, I've been meaning to head there. I think I've been there like ages back. Miller's, of course, steak all the way. Brick oven for pizza. There's also somewhere we recently ordered in from, the Pizza Bakery. Loved their pizzas. Very, very nice. Yeah. For burgers, I think I have a few other places, like Smalley's has been one of my places for burgers. There's this place called Cafe Here and Now. I don't know if you guys have tried it. It's a little bit towards the HSR layout side, but the burgers are so good. They have this burger called the Lamborghini, which is the lamb burger, and it's in double patty. It's brilliant. Is it called Thai Village? So yeah, getting back to my Asian conversation. So I don't know if you guys also noticed, but there's like an Asian trend happening across the city. So everybody's bringing like either pan-Asian places or specialty Asian. It's called the Thai House. It's opposite Toit. That's the one you mean, right, Siddharth? Yeah, it's brilliant food. I think it needs a special mention. Absolutely. So we are actually seeing that, that there are these sushi bars that are coming up. There's like a trend of Cantonese, Mandarin, Chinese, pan-Chinese food, as well as specialty cuisines, again, like Thai, Vietnamese, Malaysian, which are gaining popularity as well. And there are a lot of brilliant restaurants around this. I mean, all-time favorite, Fatty Bao. If you haven't checked it out, absolutely love the place. There's of course, Nasi and Me, you mentioned it, it's great food again. But Thai House, I think it deserves a special mention, because it's a small place that you probably wouldn't notice much, because you could just, if you're going to Toit, you will just go to Toit, right? But this place, their menu is exactly like a menu that you would get in Bangkok. It has these numbers and pictures of the dishes, and it has so many dishes, and the food is great. It actually gives you that experience. So I definitely think that's a great place. So that, yes, I think you're referring to Canton. Yeah, Canton has some very, very interesting dishes, like their 3-spice fried rice, their spiced chicken liver pate. Oh, yeah, it's just brilliant food. I'm just waiting to head out there so I have a list of things that I missed during COVID, and I have to go eat all of this. I'm sure you guys have those lists as well. So off the top of my head and the notes that I made, I think this is roughly what I wanted to discuss with you guys. Did you guys have any questions for me? I see Pooja, yes, whole lot of love cafe, right? Yeah, I think I've only had breakfast there, not burgers, but I'll check that out. Um, One of the breakfast places that I go, and I often get a lot of flack about that, oh, it's maybe not that great, but is Hole in the Wall. I don't know, I've been going there for ages. I know there's waiting, and but I still find the food good, and I love going there. Uh, yeah, absolutely. Sriracha is another. Sriracha has excellent kind of food, and they are one of the few people in the city who do Khmer food, which is from Cambodia. So they do the Khmer hot pot. So it's quite interesting, and yeah, they are trying to do new things. So I think last month or just before the lockdown, they did a mushu menu with the the mushu version of the pancake, and you can have your own fillings. Brilliant stuff. There's also, I mean, there's, yeah, Hole in the Wall. That's what I was referring to. I still love going there. I know a lot of people tell me, oh no, it's overrated, but I don't know. Maybe because, a lot of these places we are referring to, we have memories associated with it. So we, of course, love going there. But, somebody from, has to wait a lot. They would say, no, well, let's go somewhere else. But I would still go there and wait for my shakes and my pancakes and stuff. Yeah, that's it's well, it's always been an interesting thing that way, right? Uh, we always we have a different context of time because we brave traffic, so I think we are okay that way. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head any other places that I really enjoyed the food of. There used to be Smoke Co, which unfortunately shut down. I think last year, and that was they had different kind of smoked and cured meat that was brilliant. I'm hoping somebody does something similar and opens up. Toast and Tonic, one of the places which again has brilliant food. You have to check out. There's some phenomenal food and really interesting food by Chef Manu Chandra there. Then of course you have your socials and Smokehouse Delhi and things like that, which you can go off to have like a nice lunch on the healthier side and then head out. We have these specific areas where there's a lot of restaurants, like in Indranagar, Koramangala, parts of Malleshwaram, MG Road, of course, Brigade Road. Yeah, Green Theory, actually I've been meaning to go there. I haven't managed to go there yet, but I pass by that every time, just when I take the turn off of Richmond Road and I think I have to come here. Yes, Rekha, I will definitely check that place out. I've heard great things though. So this is Green Theory, I think, is another example of the healthy cafe kind of a scenario, where it's about a complete farm to table kind of a concept, clean eating. They source all the raw materials. They have a control over the supply chain, and that's what you're eating. So so there are a couple of places like that, which are very very nice. There's a cafe called Energyuvenate. Again, very very good food, very simple, wholesome food. And very healthy. So there are a few places like that. There was another place called The Market, which is no, it's not really. Is it not healthy food, or is it different kind of food? Which are the good 5-star hotel restaurants as per you? Interesting. Where food is concerned, I think in the city, actually. Siddharth, give me one sec. I don't think healthy nowadays gives a connotation of not tasty anymore, because a lot of these people, like I was talking about Energyuvenate, I was, a couple of places like The Market in Koramangala, a lot of them have invested to make their menu delicious and healthy. So I think that trend is slowly moving away. I think we kind of need to just embrace the new definition of healthy. It can be healthy and yum. Yeah, so coming back to 5 stars, Karavali, since you already prompted me, yes, you have some brilliant food there. Chef Naren is, I think, one of the best in the city. There's nothing you can go wrong there. ITC has a lot of brilliant restaurants. So my favorite in the city, and it's well, across the country perhaps, is Dampukt. It's in ITC Windsor. It's frontier cuisine, and it's brilliant food, like the biryani and the kakori and the nalli. It's absolutely amazing food. Edo for Japanese, that's very very good. If you like Thai food, since I think you do, because we discussed Thai house, there's Rimnam in the Oberoi. We've gone there a couple of times for our anniversary and birthdays. Absolutely fantastic food. And you can actually see the difference between normal Thai food and the food you eat there. It's so flavorful and aromatic. It's like you could be transported to a beach in Thailand. It's so, so good. Yeah, sorry, I'm really bad at thinking on my feet, which is why I keep making notes. But what other food from 5 stars do I like? Tell me. Yeah, it's yeah, Memories of China in Vivanta by Taj. Again, they had a chef William Tong. He was from China, and the food was just fabulous. Now, if you want good Chinese food as well, there's Far East, which is in the Four Seasons. We were recently there, and the food has been quite interesting. I mean, I think Karavali is a different ball game as well. It's you can have an amazing experience just eating that food. The various courses of it, brilliant. Yeah, so I think from the top of my head, these are some of the favorites. Yeah, of course, there's, I mean, for Italian, there are a few places that I could go to Bangalore Marriott and have, like in Alto Vino or Alba, and or Ottimo. So yeah, I think most of them put in a lot of effort to make good food, so you could, it's great food and great experience. Rekha, yeah, it is awesome ambience and tasty and well plated as well. Yes, Go Native personally I've quite liked. In fact, I recently went there before the lockdown as well. I love the tikkis that they have, and the chart renditions they have. So everything is so healthy, but like I was just discussing, right? It's absolutely yum as well. I love the food there. I recently went to we tried out Fab Cafe food as well. Again, they have healthy versions, but the food is just as good. So it's Tea Villa Cafe. I've seen great pictures. I've not been there yet, but I'll make a note of it, Rekha. I'll definitely try and hit that. So off the top of my head and the notes that I tried making, before the session, this is what I wanted to share to you about Bangalore food and culture. As you can see from the comments, we're a city that likes to eat in as much as we like to eat out. So home cooking, takeaway, they are really big here as well. Home chefs bring specialty cuisines to us in a way that's really different. And sometimes that's the best way to try food, because that's how they're cooking it at home, right? And the crowd here is mostly students or IT or tech or bank folks in the city. They end up eating out a lot. The average monthly spend, a little bit of stats, right? We must have that in a session. The average monthly spend per household on eating out in Bangalore is higher than the national average, as per the National Restaurant Association of India, that 2019 report. And the organized food market in the city is ranked 3rd highest among other metros in India. So we definitely like our food, as you can see, right? Numbers prove it as well. But circling back, thank you so much for spending this time with us. I think this gets cut off at 1 hour, so I want to conclude the session well as well. Circling back, the last few months have been super tough on this industry. And I'm sure all of us have been struggling with various aspects of working from home and managing things, multitasking on a different level, right? Like we weren't doing before. But let's just try and be a little, yeah, I think every statistics really matter. But now that things have started to open up, let us all safely try and support them. Support the industry, the restaurants, the cafes around the neighborhood places, the local places, as they have been catering for us for years and decades, right? It's sort of a responsibility, but let's also do that safely so that we are safe as well as them. So thank you all for listening in. Yes, Rekha, I did mention about Brahmins, MTR. In the comments, I'll put in some more of my favorite places where you can get some brilliant idlis and dosas. And especially if you want the Davangere dosa, there are some specialty places there that you have to have those, unless you can do a trip up to Davangere. That's cool too. So thank you all for listening in, for all your time, spending it with me today, and take care and stay safe.